Hi, everybody. I hope you've had a good week. Ours has been busy. The kids have been stiflingly bored because the weather's been incredibly discomforting. We went through most of last week without an air conditioner. Pictured in the corner is the wonderful new air conditioning unit. It actually works to keep things kind of cool in here. It is a blessing. I feel really bad for the folks who are out in the Pacific Northwest who are suffering with ridiculous heat temperatures and rolling blackouts, and I've been praying for y'all. I've been praying for all y'all in the region where you have fire season, because I know that that's begun a bit early, and that is terrifying. And then you have the folks who are in the South where hurricane season started, and there's already been like four tropical depressions. And that's a little bit unprecedented this early into the season. So everybody who's suffering natural disasters and disasters that are as a result of human action, I am praying for you, and I am trying in my own limited way to help. That said, I was asked a question in the comments on my last video if I still practice Filianism. I do. The person who commented said that it seems like since 2013, everybody's gone radio silent. There was a very active, conservative, Orthodox Filianic community that were, well, the long and the short of it is there was a very public disagreement between that conservative Orthodox community and the independent Filianic community, people like myself, over the role of transgender exclusive feminists and whether or not they should be welcome within Filianism and Deitism. There were some serious ideological discussions had, and then that community went radio silent. And they're now coming out of the woodwork because of the Children of Dea version of the Clear Recital, which I headed up as editor-in-chief, and they are not happy with it because I updated the language, I changed some elements in the way it was structured, and my team and I worked on removing things like gendered language, except for where it was necessary, like in the parables. And that switch from feminine-focused language to gender-neutral language really put a bee in some bonnets. And it was unfortunate that so many people got upset, but having these people come out of seclusion and re-engaging the community, I hope will lead to more discourse. And I hope that it will lead to a greater sense of community for the Orthodox believers who have not gone into seclusion and have been feeling like, we're kind of left out in the cold here. My practice of Filianism is a blended practice. I practice Filianism and I am a heathen. And the structural format of my worship is based in Wiccan structurals for format and worship, because I was a practicing Wiccan for a very long time. And that is my religious training. And the process through which I gained my ordination. The thing that is challenging about practicing a blended or eclectic Filianic path is it's very easy to get distracted by the other presences within the faith and lose focus from Dea. The thing is, in my practice, Dea is at the center. If you look at the Norse mythology, there is a primary figure in the creation myth, which mysteriously does not get mentioned later on in subsequent myths. That is Aldhumba. That is literally a sacred cow that licks the ice and reveals Ymir, the first of the giants, and Buri, the first of the gods. And Aldhumba, according to a few sources that have mentioned her, says that she's still out there. She's still licking the ice that is there at the edge of Gnunga Gap between Niflhel and Muspelheim. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing everything incorrectly. I do not know Old Norse. I do not know any of the languages derived from it. And my German is limited to saying please, thank you, and a couple vulgar phrases. So I'm giving it my best shot, but I know I'm mispronouncing things horribly. To my heathen viewers, I apologize for that. I'm working on it, but it's really hard. I didn't get a chance to take that class on Anglo-Saxon because it got canceled as soon as I showed up. Anyways, Aldhumba, she is still out there, licking the ice, bringing more things into existence. And she will continue doing that. People talk about Ragnarok and how Ragnarok is the end of everything. Except for when you look at the myth of Ragnarok does not speak of the end of everything. Aldhumba is not mentioned in Ragnarok's myths. And I really do believe that Ragnarok is a bent version of a myth that was present in the archaic period of the Norse religion. And I think that it's basically a reset button on the universe, where everything goes through a cycle of birth, starting with Aldhumba licking the ice and freeing the first giant, the first god, out from the ice, which is a form of birth. You may not like that idea of being described as a form of birth, but it is. And going from that birth through a growth cycle, and then there's a destructive phase, then everything starts all over again. You find this cyclical state of existence for all of reality in many religions. I think Snorri Sturluson did not like that idea because it goes entirely against Christianity, and decided that Ragnarok was an absolute destruction of just about everything, and then everything started again, sort of, except for there was a few lucky lucky souls and a few lucky deities that managed to escape the utter chaotic destruction of everything and started everything all over anew. And I don't think it works that way. Please pardon the random music going on in the background. It's just a random playlist that I grabbed, and I have no control over it. But if you like smooth jazz, then this might be your jam. If not, I apologize, and I will try to find classical music. Let me know in the comments how bad this music is. Back to what I was saying. Aldhumba, Dea, same figure. Two different mythological interpretations, but Aldhumba is the bright mother, continually creating, continually bringing new things into existence. The dark mother? Well, there is somebody for that in the Norse mythology, Valhalla, who receives the dead. Or you could look at Hela, the daughter of Loki. Yes, some people say Hela's a monster. I disagree with those people. I'm a heretic in so many ways, it's not funny. But they receive the dead and prepare them for their next life. I am firmly convinced reincarnation happens. And we will go through cycles of reincarnation until it is time for Ragnarok, when the entire universe basically dies and gets reincarnated, which is something that is part of Phillianism and part of Deism. That process of death and rebirth is returning to the dark mother of Filianism and Deism. It's mysterious, it's confusing, it's kind of scary. Sounds a lot like shadow work. And the things that cross over between heathenry and Filianism seem weird. But if you break it down into, we have Dea, then we have the goddesses as the church of, the chapel of our mother God describes the Janyati. You can sit there and say, wait a second. If the Janyati are deific beings, what about all these other deities? Are they not emanations of Dea? I conclude they are. And that is where heathenry or any other polytheistic religion intersects with Filianism and Deism. There are people who object to the fact that I believe that there are male deities and that there are female deities, but there's some real strong objection towards the cultus of male deities. Again, this is from the very conservative Orthodox community, and they generally tend to focus upon the matrifocal elements, and they have, well, they have some kind of disturbing views on gender in the ultra-conservative Orthodox community, also known as the Aristosian community. The Lux Madrina community shares some of those views, but they didn't take them as far as the Aristosian community did. Now, you may ask, do I believe that there was an eclipse, as termed by the Filianic community and the Lux Madriana community? Do I believe that men are inferior to women somehow or something else like that? Which are two things that turn a lot of people away from Filianism and Deitism. And I'm going to tell you right now, if everyone is one in the daughter, then your gender doesn't matter, except for as a part of your identity. Beyond that, you're a soul. You are a beautiful, wonderful soul that will return to the mother and be embraced and loved, regardless of any flaws or mistakes you've made, because in the end, that is the home of your spirit and soul. And it's going to take lifetimes to get there, but we're all on a different path to get there. And it is my belief that the fall that started everything differentiating and becoming as chaotic as they are now was started by us seeking knowledge. We didn't have all knowledge in the beginning. We were learning. We were running around through creation and delighting in what we found. And then this figure known as the snake in Phillianism says, hey, I know something you don't. And we turned seeking wisdom. I don't think that Dea has ever been angry with us for that. I also believe that she wants us to take that path. Why? Because it allows for her to reach her fullness by becoming the bright mother, becoming the mother of the daughter. Now, there are going to be people who are going to disagree with me on this. We're going to have to agree to disagree. If you wish to have a discussion about it, cool. But in the end of all of my rambling, yes, I am still a Filianist, and I am also a practicing heathen, and I'm just kind of hanging out here doing what I can to get by. There are some people who think that there's going to be a revival of Filianism, especially with the new gender-neutral version of the Clear Recital out. I don't know. I know that there's been a bee put into a few bonnets over it. At the same time, there's others who are saying, this brings me closer to Dea. The goal for myself and the team I worked with was to make the Clear Recital accessible to everybody. When I said in my blog post that I wanted to make it accessible to my sons, I was not saying that I wanted to make it male-centric. I was saying I want it to be at their reading level. There is a passage in the Clear Recital that says, what is the truth if it cannot be explained to a child? And that's really important. You've got to be able to explain the belief system and the practices, or it dies out. And that's where things are at right now. Pardon me. If you have more questions, I will be happy to try to answer them here. And if anything, I will try to answer them on the blog. If you like what I'm doing, please go to my blog and support the blog and what I'm doing. There is a donation button from PayPal set up on the blog at blogger.com. And aside from that, the next video that I'm going to be posting is going to be a continuation of the Rosary series that I've been started. That was a bad sentence. I apologize. I need more coffee. The next Rosary that I'm going to be going over is going to be the Catholic style Rosary. And it's going to be a little bit of a long post, video, however you describe these. But I will do one round of the Catholic Rosary. And I'm using the term Catholic not in the sense of Catholic Christianity, but in the sense of universal. And you may find some similarities between that rosary and the one that's posted up at the Chapel of Our Mother God, which is run by people who are Aristosian community leaning. And you may find there are some elements of that rosary that are familiar from Christian backgrounds and stuff like that. I did some research and tried to translate the prayers of the Christian rosary over to Filianic terms. It actually wasn't that difficult, but we'll discuss more about that next week. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you are well.